So we all know that boot camps are really expensive most of the time and that university degrees take a lot of time. But I'm just here to reassure you that learning UX design on your own is still very much an option. So in today's video, I'm going to cover some steps or tips that you can use to learn UX design effectively by yourself on your own without any boot camps or degrees. So the first thing you want to do is to take free courses. Make as much use of the free information that's out there as possible. And this is true for a bunch of reasons. First, you may not even be interested in UX design at all. So you want to ensure that your first steps are really low commitment. You want to establish that you are really interested in this and that it's what you want to do. So start out with a bunch of free courses. Also, I have linked some in the description below. Be sure to check that out. So start out with these free introductory courses and just use it to gauge how interested you truly are in this field. Also, beyond interest is really getting to understand all what UX design entails. So usually these free courses would introduce you to some basic prototyping, some basic understanding of some concepts and words and terminology. Could also introduce you to some basics around things like UX research and so on. So a great place to start is always a free course. Second step that you need to take is getting an understanding of UX principles and laws. Now, there are some really important principles and laws that would always help you when you are getting into UX design, and they ultimately kind of become a part of you and become a part of the way that you solve problems as a UX designer. Some of these are included in a bit more in-depth courses, but you can also do some research on your own just by simply Googling UX principles. Now, some of these principles or laws include things like Fitts Law, Jacob's Law, Hick's Law, and so on. There are kind of a bunch of them. So be sure to read up on these, understand them, get a good grasp of them, because they will ultimately help you when you're trying to solve design problems. So get a good understanding of them and kind of make it a part of how you approach problems as a designer. Third step or tip is to set realistic timelines for yourself. So if, for example, you are taking a bunch of courses, give yourself a realistic timeline to start and finish these courses. So it could be 3 weeks, 4 weeks to finish a couple of introductory courses that you feel would really help you understand UX design. Now, it's really important to have realistic timelines, because sometimes either you give yourself no time or you give yourself too little time, and this would make you either lose inspiration quickly or get burnt out really fast, and you do not want either of these situations. So try to monitor it. Don't give yourself too much time, but at the same time, don't give yourself too little time to the point where you get kind of frustrated with yourself or you put too much pressure on yourself and you're not able to get things done. Fourth step is set a timetable and be consistent with it. So after you've given yourself these timelines, give yourself a timetable. So the way you would work in a boot camp or the way you would work in school is pretty similar to this. So work with an actual timetable where you could say from 3 to 6 I'm doing this and that. From 4 to 5 tomorrow I'm going to do so and so. This also helps reduce the chances of doing the same thing every single day, which could quickly get monotonous and boring. Fifth step is to get an accountability partner or join communities. So your accountability partners may not always be people in the same field as you, so they may not as well be in tech, but if you're lucky enough to get those in tech, amazing. But you can still make use of your friends and family and ask them to check in on you and ask you at the end of the week to let them know maybe what you've learned this week, what you're working on so far, and just keep you kind of like on your toes. Of course, you also need to support or surround yourself with the right community, with the right people. So if it's on social media, ensure that your feed too, you're following other designers or other people on the design journey so you stay motivated. Now, as you would normally have it in boot camps or university degrees, there's always community. You're always surrounded by people who have similar goals than you. So if you do not have that as a UX designer learning on your own, you're going to have to simulate that. You're going to have to create that kind of environment for yourself. So this would involve filling your social media with other designers and asking your friends and family to keep you accountable by checking up on you and constantly asking for your progress. Step number 6 would be to ensure that you're sharing your work for feedback. Now, of course, you have to be careful, make sure you're talking to the right people who will present your feedback to you in a reasonable, digestible way. But also at the same time, don't limit yourself, because you could also get feedback from non-designers or non-tech people as well. So as well, if you design something, you could ask your friend or your family member if they understand what the design is about. And that's just like some very basic usability testing, just to get a feel of maybe if what you're designing is on the right track or not. You could also get feedback on maybe your case studies, things that you're writing, and send it around for people to read through and see if it makes sense to them, if they're able to follow you are trying to pitch to them or explain. Another great thing about sharing your work is that not only does it give you feedback, it also gives you visibility. So you always want a situation where once people say your name, they can literally associate you with a particular thing. So they can associate you with UX design once, you know, they see your name or they see your posts. You always want to be associated. That way you're creating opportunities for yourself, and people who know you and associate you with this thing can easily reach out to you. As you know, for boot camps, unis, and so on, they usually have workshops for people to get jobs and so on. But if you do not have that because you are self-learning, you need to promote yourself and put yourself in these positions where it's easy for you to be noticed and people can associate you and you can be picked for some of these opportunities. Next and final tip is to be sure you're creating projects for your portfolio. Don't get stuck in the loop of constantly watching courses and doing videos. Be sure that you are making your work practical. So you can get projects from either just, you know, looking around you and trying to find problems to solve, or by looking out online for fake project briefs, or just even redesigning things that already exist. This is very important, as your portfolio is the biggest part of what helps you get hired or what helps you get considered in the job market. So be sure that you are writing case studies about this. There are links in the description about case studies and so on, and how you should structure your portfolio. So make sure that this is something that you work on. As you would know, if you were in a bootcamp or uni, you would have these projects that you would be working on consistently, and those would be what you would come out with that would ultimately fill up your portfolio. But if you don't have that as you're self-learning, be sure to pick them up as you go along. Now, they don't have to be perfect. Now, nobody expects perfection, but just make sure that you give it your best shot and that they are as explanatory and cover as much detail as is necessary. So guys, thank you all so much for watching today's video. I really hope it was helpful and useful to you. If it was, please be sure to like, share, comment, and of course subscribe to my channel. Thank you all so much, and see you next time.